Hi, Mike Smith here. In this short webcast, we're going to look at how to take some text that is formatted as in a Word document down here with a heading, paragraph, some bullet points and a bit of text styling, including background color, font color, underline and font color and heading underline there. So these styles, what we're going to do is try and make a web page do that as well. And the finished product is up here on the top right, and the starting point is up here at the top left. So typically if we give a web page some plain text, it will look like this up here on the left, and after some styling it'll look like this on the right. And we're going to try and mimic as closely as possible what the original was here in the Word document. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is we do have some margins happening here at the top and at the left. And although we've tried to make it work as closely as possible as the original, it isn't quite exactly the same. And that is a consequence of how we create styling in the web page. It is possible to make it look exactly the same, but often it turns out that we don't really want to. So anyway, this is our starting point up here. Okay, so I've just arranged my screen here to make this demonstration a little bit easier to follow. So at the top left here is our starting file, and that's file1.txt. And I've got that open in the browser here as file1.txt. You can see that's the same file. And just to prove that it's the same file, I will just make a small change here and then save that file and then refresh that file over here, and you can see it's actually the same file. And that goes for file 2 here, that's that one, and file 3 here, which is that one, which is kind of getting closer to what we want to do. So I've got these files open here to demonstrate what happens with the browser when we do certain things. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is tell the browser what we want done with this text, because at the moment the browser doesn't know that we want this to be a heading and this to be a paragraph and these to be bullet points. So we need to tell it. And the way that we tell a web browser to do that is with what's called tags. So in file 2 here, file2.txt, we have these tags. H1 is heading 1, and that roughly equates to heading 1 in word processor. And then paragraph, that's a paragraph of text, P tags. Start there, end there, and that roughly relates to the normal style in a word processor. And then the bullet points are what we call list items. So these tags tell the browser that, you know what, this text is actually to be treated in a particular way. These are, if you like, commands to the browser. So when we open this file in the browser, well, surprise, surprise, we actually get this. Because even though we've given these bits of text, these tags, the web browser still doesn't really know that it's a web page. The way that we tell it it's a web page is to change the extension of the file from a text file to a HTML file. And so file 3 here is exactly the same content, and all I've done is I've changed its extension to HTML. And when I open that in a browser, presto, suddenly the browser understands what we want done with the text. A heading, a paragraph, and some bullet points. So in summary then, the browser can open a text file, but it doesn't know what to do with the tags until we change the file type to HTML, or in fact to HTM. But the most common convention is using HTML, and so it's really important to know what extension you're using. Right, so at least now we've got text being treated in different ways by the browser, and that's because we've given them different tags over here. So the browser knows that we want to treat them in different ways. And the H1 tag does have a predefined style associated with it, a default style if you will, and that's shown here. It's bold, it's bigger. The difference between the paragraph text and the list items, as you can see, by default a list item has a bullet in front of it, and that bullet is shaped as a circle. And all of these things can be changed, but this is the default behavior if we don't do anything else. Now what we're going to do is add styling to this file 3 here, add styling to that to make it look more like the Word document, and our end file will look like this. Okay, now I'm just going to rearrange my screen here, and this is part of the demonstration because it shows how a web designer would actually work with a file and a browser side by side. So I'm going to play with file 3 here, and I'm just going to make that half the screen size over here, so I've got lots of room over here, and this browser, I'm going to make that half the screen size on the right hand side there. That's my end goal, but this is file 3 here. So if I make changes over here, just make that there like that, and then save that file, and then refresh over here, as you can see that the change is reflected there. So I'm just going to make changes over here and see the effects over there, with the goal to make it look like that. And you may have noticed that I'm working on a Mac, but the same principle applies on Windows. You may also have noticed that I'm just using a normal text editor over here. It happens to be called Text Wrangler. And the reason I use Text Wrangler is because it highlights these tags. It knows that they are tags. But just a normal text editor will work. And on the right I'm using a browser which is available for free. So the tools that I'm using for web development are readily available to anyone. Anyone can do this. I have simplified the demonstration a little bit. Normally a web page would have some other elements starting it off and finishing it, but I'm just really focusing on how these individual tags work. So that's the scope of this demonstration. Now, if I want to add styling to this web page, I need to open up an area for those styles to be defined. So I'm going to open up an area at the top here. It's another tag, and it has a start and an end, and inside here are going to be the styling information that I'm going to add. And I'm just going to save that there, and I'm going to refresh over here, and because it's a browser, it knows that whatever's in that style area there is actually styling information. It's not for display. So all the styles are going to go in here.